to put across, I'll try my best to put across the best possible content in the available time. So for next 12 days, we will be having this paper class from 8 to 9 p.m. Every day, continuously 12 days of discussion on this particular paper. Now, when I try to present detailed statistics for women's health in India, there are certain important concepts which we should try to understand. So, like one very critical concept with regard to health parameter is life expectancy, then maternal mortality rate, fertility rate, birth and death rates, infant mortality rate, neonatal mortality rate, and under 5 mortality rate. So, this particular screen is also giving us a broad understanding about what is the statistics connected with these important concepts related with demography, related with specifically health demography. And as you can see, that with regard to maternal mortality rate, we have witnessed about 113 deaths per 1 lakh live births, and this data pertains to the year 2020. Similarly, total fertility rate has been about 2 children per woman in 2021. Infant mortality rate was about 30 deaths per 1,000 live births in 2021. So these statistics also help us to give an understanding about how the overall health development and health parameters operate at our national level. So apart from those statistics, when we try to understand in connection with other dimensions like nutrition and anemia for especially because anemia is a serious concern with regard to women's health. Anemic women have greater risk of further complications either during the times of pregnancy or also during the menstrual cycle. Their challenges can multiply because of their being anemic. So this is a very serious parameter, and when we try to see the statistic, it is very uh, critical statistic, I would say. So prevalence of anemia is about between the age group of 15 to 49, 53.1% of women are suffering from this condition. Underweight women. So we know that with regard to weight, BMI is one very important indicator, body mass index. And reproductive health also, you can see the statistics that 54% of married women aged between 15 to 49, they use contraceptives, and adolescent birth rate is about 13.9 births per 1,000 women aged between 15 to 19 years. Then healthcare access, literacy rate according to 2011 census, female literacy rate is about 70.3%. Gender-based violence is one critical concern because uh, when more level of violence exists against women, then her health care definitely takes a back seat. And then HIV/AIDS, one of the sexually transmitted diseases, it is also like about 0.22% among women have HIV/AIDS aged between 15 to 49 years. And when you talk about healthcare infrastructure, in a vast country like India, where even about today, about 69% of India's population is living in villages, there is a drastic divide between rural healthcare and urban healthcare. And when we try to understand health statistics in India with specific reference to women, then this differentiation of rural healthcare and urban healthcare becomes extremely important because despite the best possible efforts of state governments and central governments through various policies, through various schemes, we definitely understand that the gaps even today are huge, and it takes a lot to, reduce those gaps. Just to give you all a broad understanding about how these important statistics, important parameters are calculated. I'm not going to go through each and everything because I hope you all understand we have just 12 hours at our discretion and 16 units. Definitely, a thorough justice is not possible, but this effort is only to make you all understand a very broad perspective that how this important formulas are derived and how we get that data. So just to give you an example, that how crude birth rate is calculated. So the formula is number of live births divided by estimated mid-year population in that particular year and multiplied by 1,000. So similarly, for various other concepts like neonatal death rate or post-neonatal mortality rate, we have uh, different formulas to calculate this and arrive at that particular statistics. Now, when we try to understand demographic parameters with regard to women's health, then like one of the statistics which communicates that India has a maternal mortality rate of 174 deaths per 1 lakh live births, which is significantly higher than many other countries in the region. Dear friends, you all might have heard about a Human Development Index. And in that ranking, India is not at a very good standing. So even in those kinds of ranking, maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate, these figures, life expectancy at birth, these kind of parameters are included in the calculation of HDI. And about 50 million women in India suffer from reproductive health problems, and then anemia, as I just mentioned, and increasing number of cancers, different kinds of cancers with specific reference to women like breast cancer, cervical cancer. They are becoming more and more common in India, which is matter of serious concern. And then if I have to quote some basic statistics, that about 96,922 deaths happened due to cervical cancer in 2018. And ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, estimated that about 87,000 women died from breast cancer in 2020. So these parameters and these data is giving us a glimpse of how critical the situation is. You might also wonder that why so much of focus exclusively on women's health, and why we are not talking about overall health. Of course, overall health is very, very important for economic development and social development of any country. But because, of course, this course is about PG diploma in women's studies, but otherwise also, if women's health is impacted, then it impacts the entire family. So from that point of view, also focusing on women's health becomes very, very important. So now we will try to understand certain important concepts, demographic parameters. So one important parameter is life expectancy. So as of recent estimates, the life expectancy of women in India is around 70.7 years, which of course has improved because of developments in medical technology. Maternal mortality rate, I just now I mentioned, fertility rate, and access to health care. So antenatal care, about 70 to 80% of pregnant women receive at least one antenatal checkup. But regular and comprehensive care is less prevalent. Just now I was mentioning about rural-urban healthcare divide. Okay, so when you talk again about rural healthcare system, there antenatal care still becomes challenging. In urban areas, at least the health infrastructure is relatively stronger when compared to rural areas. But again, the cost of maintaining that health care is also a matter of concern. Then one good statistic is about 78.9%. We have to definitely take this figure to 100%, but as of today, 78.9% of births take place in healthcare institutions, which helps in reducing maternal and neonatal mortality. Neonatal mortality means when the child just born baby, when they die, that is neonatal mortality. So these are some of the demographic parameters: literacy rate, nutrition status, because nutrition level in married women, pregnant women, lactating women, all this is directly connected not only with her healthcare, but also, like, for example, if a pregnant woman is malnourished, then definitely it will have its impact on the child which is yet to take birth. So, like when the child is in mother's womb and if mother is malnourished, then you can just imagine the impact on the child's health, and when child takes birth, what further complications it can lead to. So on one hand, we have challenges of malnutrition, and on the other hand, we have challenges of obesity. Obesity is one of the serious concerns, especially with regard to women's health. And we have to always remember this in mind, that obesity might not be always connected with our eating quantity, what quantity food we are eating. Okay, it is also connected with the hormonal imbalances in women. It can be connected with the you know frequency and periodicity of menstrual cycle, menopause, premenopause challenges. So hormonal conditions can play a very important role in the weight management and obesity challenges among women. Now, reproductive health, I just mentioned in the initial slides, and then gender inequality index. Now, gender inequality, if it is more intense in any country or in any society, it will have its impact on healthcare, on education, and also economic participation of women in uh, upholding the economic resources. You might think that the data, what mentioned in vital statistics and demographic parameters, it is overlapping to a great extent. You are absolutely right. So that is why if you get a question, usually this there can be interchangeable questions in the examination. So the content more or less will be the same, because these points are also mentioning statistics, and this point is also talking about those demographic concepts which help us to do an assessment of women's health. Now, to proceed further, violence against women. See, friends, uh, issues like violence against women or gender inequality index, these two factors can be very, very critical, and it might have a direct linkage with women's health, because if more and more women are suffering sexual violence or domestic violence or violence in any form, physical violence, which will have its impact on the mental health of women also. So all these factors, if there is higher levels of inequality, if there is greater intensity of violence against women, then its impact on women's health, and that in turn will impact families' health also. That is why we should not be under the impression that violence against women is a separate concept and women's health is not related to it in any way, because mental health of women is also directly correlated with violence against women. The more uh, levels of domestic violence in a family naturally will hamper the mental health. Then, to what extent healthcare access is there, and what is the quality of the healthcare? So these are two different dimensions. Like, is the family, are the people, is women having a very comfortable, flexible access to healthcare? Now, let us say in one instance she has very flexible access to healthcare, but the quality of the healthcare might not be good. So if the quality of healthcare is not appropriate, then addressing her health problems becomes again challenging. So access to healthcare and quality of healthcare both go hand in hand. This we have to remember. So in this connection also again, the socio-economic status of women, and whether it is rural women or urban women, and what is the age bracket in which the women is presently there. And again, with regard to transgender women, because most of the times we miss out our discussion on transgender women. So with regard to transgender women also, is the access to healthcare easily available? And if access is there, it is very good. But is the quality healthcare available? Is the next level of question, which helps us to analyze the status of women's health. So all these demographic factors, they are influenced by multiple factors, and constant effort is required by the state, by the government, by the civil society organizations, by the community, because all the time we are very good in fixing the responsibility of the government. Government is not doing this, government is not doing that, but ultimately we forget that what are we doing, right? So, as a student of sociology, we should always remember that as important is the role of the state, equally is important the role of civil society organizations and community at large. So, women's health status is a very, very multi-dimensional aspect, has a lot of complexities involved in that, biological complexities, economic complexities, socio-cultural complexities, psychological complexities, complexities in terms of policy formulation and implementation. So we have to understand women's health, keeping in view all these factors. I hope so far this topic which I'm discussing is clear, and I'm sure these recordings will be provided to all of you. And if the recording is being provided to you today itself, and by the time you join for the class tomorrow, if you have any doubts, you can reserve your doubts for that tomorrow's class as well. After listening to the recording, make a note of all the doubts you have, and we can have a doubt clearing session also as part of the class tomorrow. So, friends, now so far, I have tried to summarize two very important lessons. In fact, not two important lessons. First lesson, for that matter, statistics and demographic parameters of women's. And now let us try to understand what is the concept of nutrition and balanced diet. So, when we try to understand the concept of nutrition, I think most of us are familiar, because especially during COVID time and post-COVID time, we were all very cautious about what kind of nutrition we are taking in. If you can recall, our entire focus was on ensuring that we take such kind of nutrition which strengthens our immunity, because it was said that if you have a strong immunity, the attack of COVID virus can be minimized, the risk can be minimized. So when you talk about nutrition, it is like, it is a process. Nutrition is just not what you eat. Okay. There is a holistic process of what you eat, how you eat, when you eat, and after what you eat. Of course, what you eat is also very, very important. So once all this what, why, when, where, once all these things are addressed, right? And when you have finally taken the food, to what extent your body is capable of digesting the food, because digestion is the process after which the critical nutrients from the food is absorbed by your body. And that is why what we are eating is very important, but how we are eating is also extremely important, and when we are eating. Now, let us say you think that, okay, I will have my dinner every day at night, 11 o'clock, 11:30, and of course, your digestion system will be impacted with it. So, it involves, when you talk about nutrition, it is involving the intake of the food and how body is using that entire nutrition for its functioning, because entire body has multiple organs, millions of cells, all those cells require intake. So with that nutrition which which is going to your body, whatever you're eating, the nutrients which is being supplied to your body, how that is helping you to perform your physiological functions, that becomes extremely important. So, in this connection, let us try to have a broad understanding about what kind of nutrients is part of a good nutrition. So, usually, nutrients, they are the substances which the body needs for energy, because when I'm talking, I need energy. When I'm walking, I need energy. For everything, we need energy to perform, right? So, not only for functioning, but also for growing. And if there is any damage, let us say you had some small cut or someone meets with an accident, so the cells of the body also has to repair itself. So to repair those particular cells, what kind of nutrition are you taking? Because that nutrition will help the cells to repair itself. See, nature has created human body, or for that matter, any living organism. Nature's creation is awesome, I tell you. Cells have the ability to repair itself provided you are giving them that right kind of environment with the right kind of nutrition. That is why people say, like, if you have undergone some surgery and you should take coconut water, because coconut water has a lot of electrolytes in that, which helps the body to provide all kinds of micronutrients to the body. So, nutrition and nutrients can be categorized into two broad things: macro and micro. So, when I say macronutrients, what does it include? It includes carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Most of you who are health cautious, or you must have already been implementing these things. You might be actually counting how much of carbohydrate are you taking on a day-to-day basis. Like, if you are interested to lose weight, you increase your protein intake, you reduce your carbohydrate intake, and fat is the least. Now many people say that we should consume zero fat, which is a very wrong idea, because certain amount of good fat is very, very important for the functioning of the body. So carbohydrates provide energy. Proteins, it is essential for the growth, repair, and maintenance of the tissues in the body. Just now I was mentioning, see, cellular repair, or if there is what can we say? If the tissues have been damaged, in all such scenarios, proteins can play a very, very important role. And nuts, all kinds of nuts, beans, dairy products, they are said to have very good level of proteins. And if you are a non-vegetarian, meat, of course, is considered to have protein. And fats, it is very important for energy storage, cellular structure, and hormone production. It is found in the oils what we use, butter, avocados, and also nuts. So usually people say you should not consume ghee, you should not consume butter. Everything in moderation is good, provided you are doing good amount of exercise to burn those excess oil or excess butter what you're consuming. Because ghee, butter, this is very important to also lubricate your bones. So Everything in moderation is a good practice. Everything in balance is very important to fulfill the nutritional requirements of our body. And then we have, apart from macronutrients, we also have micronutrients. So micronutrients basically includes vitamins. We all are familiar with this. We all see the advertisement of multivitamins, right? You don't have to take those supplements because our food itself is huge source of vitamins, provided we are eating consciously and not, just keeping on grabbing something or the other which is in front of us. So vitamin A, C, D, E, and K, they provide very important compounds for the body, which is extremely important to run our metabolism. Then minerals is also required for the body, like for example, calcium, iron, potassium, and zinc. See, just to give you a quick example, my dear friends, usually people who suffer initial stages of heart problem, or heart attack also, like minor heart attack cases, you will see there is lot of electrolyte imbalance in terms of sodium and potassium. And I request you all, if you have elderly in your family, usually we forget things. Of course, nowadays, because of the kind of stress and pollution we are living in, even youngsters are forgetting so many things. But if elderly people are forgetting things, and there is some change in their behavioral orientation, it means that electrolyte imbalance has taken place. So electrolyte imbalance takes place if potassium, sodium quantities in your body gets, disturbed. And in such kind of a scenario, for immediate relief, we can also help our elderly with electrol sachet also, and quickly followed by a visit to the doctor, because self-medication is very dangerous. Then, uh, like in see, like in this slide, we were trying to understand about macronutrients and micronutrients. What is also very important is what kind of diet we are taking, what kind of food we are taking. Are we able to maintain a kind of balance? That is what I was saying. We have to maintain the balance in what we are eating in terms of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins. Excess of anything is not good for the body. So when nature created this human body, nature also gave us all those supplements around us. And nature also told us that, okay, this kind of balance is required. And moderation. This is what I was just mentioning. Consuming everything in moderation is important for your body. Quitting food or starving your body for any reason is not a good practice. And diversity of food is also very important. That is why, see, we have different colors, fruits, and vegetables also. Nature is so very intelligent, right? It created fruits of different colors, vegetables of different colors, and all that has its own significance in fulfilling the nutritional requirements of human body. So, nutrition is possible if we are taking a good balance of macro and micronutrients. And what do these nutrients do? They help us in energy production, because body needs energy to function, to perform, and body needs to develop, body needs to grow. So carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, they provide the required energy for body to function. And then proteins and vitamins are also very important for tissue repair and regulation of body processes. So, vitamins, minerals, and water, because major composition of human body is with water. That is why every health expert, and even like we in our day-to-day lives, we have to maintain that hydration in our body. That is why some people say 8 to 10 glasses, some people say 10 to 12 glasses for a healthy individual. people who have concerns connected with kidneys and all, they will have to take how much quantity the doctor has suggested. But regulation of body processes, very, very important is vitamins, minerals, and water. Because if you are reducing your water intake, there is a problem. If you are taking excessive water, is also there is a problem. So all this help us to regulate the metabolism of the body, how the enzymes are functioning in our body, how hormones are operating in our body, and how the transmission of the nerves and nerve impulses is taking place in the body. That also, to a great extent, depends upon vitamins and minerals intake. And that is why, see, vitamin A is so very important for your eyes, right? And that is why we might have heard, we might have read that now we have, because especially in South India, we have more consumption of rice. So we are getting new varieties of rice with more added supplements of vitamin A after some kind of a hybrid cultivation which is being facilitated because of the agricultural technology. Proceeding further, we can also have challenges connected with malnutrition. So malnutrition can be of two types, undernutrition and overnutrition. So malnutrition basically refers to any kind of deficiency, excess or imbalance in person's intake of the nutrients. And undernutrition is you are not taking appropriate amount of that nutrition, because of which you will have some amount of deficiency that leads to stunted growth and other kind of challenges. Overnutrition, you are taking excessively. So that is why balance is very important. Excessive intake of energy and nutrients leading to overweight, obesity, and associated chronic diseases. But as I just mentioned, obesity can also be the result of other factors like hormonal imbalances. Now, just to give you a quick example here, India is a tropical country. Despite India being a tropical country, majority of the population in India has vitamin D deficiency. You all are familiar, my dear friends, that nature is so kind that it provides us vitamin D free of cost, provided you are under the sunlight before 7:38 a.m. in the morning, at least for half an hour to 45 minutes. So it means what? The implied meaning is what? Wake up early, do some walking, do some exercise in the bright sunlight, and your body has the ability to absorb sunlight and vitamin D in the entire chemical process is taken care. So vitamin D of late has been like, as the research is also proving, that if you do not have the right quantity of vitamin D, it is not only bad for your own health, but also in many cases can lead to cancer. So something which is free of cost given by nature to us, we are not able to utilize because of either lack of awareness or because of our laziness. So overnutrition and undernutrition, both these conditions have to be avoided. Then, like overall, see, when we talk about nutrition, it is important to make an assessment of how much of nutrition we are taking. So in terms of diet, so what is the amount of food we are taking and what are the eating patterns, then assessing, because how much we have to eat also depends upon our weight, right? What is body size, weight, and biochemical tests in terms of nutrient levels in blood, urine, and tissues. So if your urine examination is showing traces of protein, then you have to be little cautious about it. If your blood is showing more higher level of sugar, then you have to default this. Then clinical assessment in terms of the physical, because sometimes when the nutrition reduces to a drastic extent, then we will see that these deficiencies is reflected in concrete symptoms. And for that clinical assessment, visiting to doctor becomes extremely important. Then proper nutrition. See why we are spending so much of time talking about nutrition, because when you're talking about health, this is one of the most important concepts in terms of women's health, because if nutrition to the body is appropriate and is in the required amount, major part of the diseases is already taken care. So good health is combination of multiple factors, and one of the most important factors is the nutrition. So nutrition helps us to prevent chronic diseases. It helps us to strengthen our immunity system. I see, if you can recall, my dear friends, during the COVID time also, in case if someone was detected having the COVID, doctors would always suggest not only vitamin C but also zinc tablets, right? So zinc is also very important micronutrient for retaining the immunity and infection fighting capacity of the body, and also enhancing mental health. So good nutrition is important not only for your physical health but also for your mental health. And it is very important for us to also remember that different stages in our life, different professions in our life, different conditions in our life, the nutritional requirements can vary slightly. Now, for example, the kind of nutrition what a 8-year-old child requires, 80-year-old person, their nutritional requirements are completely different. Okay, so it's not that there is one bracket that so much of amount of this nutrients is required for all age groups, for all conditions. One such umbrella uh, quantity is not prescribed. So it is very important to keep in view the age in which the person is consuming. Now, for example, with specific reference to women, if you are talking, if the woman is pregnant, then her nutritional requirements are different. When she's lactating, like childbirth has taken place, now she has to breastfeed her child. So that time her nutritional requirements can be different. When she grows up elderly, when there is menopause, then post-menopause, when she's growing older, then the requirements can be completely different. So that is why this is very, very important for us to remember. And just to similar point has been like balanced diet. The concept of nutrition and balanced diet, they go hand in hand. Balanced diet is what? Proper balance of all the nutrients which you are taking. So that is why you will see that the the content of this slide and the previous slide, it looks overlapping, because actually these two concepts are also overlapping. Nutrition comprises of all these things which you can see on the slide: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, water. And balanced diet will include all these nutrients in the right amount. And how is this right amount decided? It is decided at which stage of your life you are. Okay, like whether you are adolescent, you are adult, your physical activity profession is there, or it is like a sedentary kind of a lifestyle. Depending on all these factors, the quantity of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins can vary. It should vary also, because if your activity, your job, your profession is just to sit in front of the system, and if you are taking carbohydrates which is required for a person who has to work on the farms, then you yourself can imagine what will be the end result of it. Okay, so these are multiple factors which we have to keep in mind. And I wouldn't repeat the same point, but I will definitely emphasize on water because we are in summers. And you know that half of India is literally boiling with temperatures in states like places like Delhi as good as 47 degrees. Here in parts of Hyderabad and Telangana, like in Hyderabad, we are 36, 37 max temperature thanks to in between rains. But of course, it has its impact on agriculture, unfortunately. Now, water is very, very important. As I told you, friends, that 70% of human body composition is of water. So, consuming right amount of water is extremely critical for physical health as well as mental health of people and digestion, absorption, and temperature regulation. See, if you are feeling very hot, if you take a good amount of 1.5 glasses of water, you yourself will see that the body temperature is slowly coming down to the normal level. So, water is a very important component to regulate the temperature of your body. So, that is why people emphasize that, especially during summers, our liquid intakes has to be relatively higher and our oily intake should be limited. Balanced diet. So all those health freaks, you all are familiar. What all should be taken as part of the balanced diet? So it has to be variety, not the same monotonous every day you are eating the same thing. No, you have to have variety whereby you are making sure that you are covering carbohydrate, protein, minerals, vitamins, fiber, uh, all these things in proper amount. Portion, how much portion are we consuming? Because uh, if we are leading a sedentary lifestyle and our portion is huge, then just imagine its impact. Processed food. See, balance, whenever we are talking about nutrition and balanced diet, our intake of processed food should be controlled to a great extent. Now, unfortunately, it has so happened as the impact of urbanization has intensified, our lifestyles have undergone a lot of changes. Our cooking habits, cooking practices, cooking habits, eating practices have undergone a lot of change. Unfortunately, most of the food, what we are consuming is a processed food, whether it is biscuit, whether it is tomato sauce, whether it is a fruit jam, or in case like, we have the habit of keeping French fries, McCain's or other brand French fries, packaged food. And whenever the kids ask, you just, you know, deep fry and give to the kids. All this is processed food. So whole like lot of regulation of processed food is very, very important. Then always advisable to choose fresh and whole food and regular meals. Of course, we fasting is also good, but depending upon what is your health condition. And this is apart from the material I've just taken up. This is from your same material, women's health material. So this small table, I found it very interesting. I thought, so food groups can include cereals, millets, pulses, legumes, nuts and oil seeds, milk, egg, and flesh foods. It is fresh foods actually. It is printed wrong in that. Vegetables and fruits, fats and sugar. You can see that what are the major nutrients these offer. So cereals and millets, like nowadays, we all are emphasizing on millets. So jawar, ragi, different bajra, right? These are different kinds of millets which are very strong sources of energy to the body, iron, vitamin B, then pulses, legumes, very good source of providing protein, calcium, energy, and you are familiar with the other nutrients which is provided by the different food groups. And that is why it becomes very important to have a kind of a balanced diet where you are doing a good combination which will fulfill not only your nutritional requirements but also it also satisfies you psychologically and also gives you tremendous amount of energy for your body to perform multiple activities. I think the slide is getting repeated. I wouldn't waste our time on that. See, I just want to have just a broad discussion that what are different types of vitamins and what can be its sources and how it supports the physiological functioning. So you are familiar. It's in fact these are the contents what we read as part of our school science syllabus also. But it is always good to remind ourselves the significance of vitamins for the human body. So when you talk about vitamin A, very very important for your vision, immune functioning, and reproduction. And right from our childhood days, we have been told that carrots are the richest source of vitamin A. Vitamin C, very, very important to repair any kind of tissue. That is why if we have had any accident where we have a physical hurt or in case we have undergone a particular surgery, then doctors will always suggest to have supplements of vitamin C so that our tissues get repaired. It is good source of antioxidant and we all know that lemon is one of the best sources, and even green chili. Green chili is also very good source of vitamin C. Vitamin D very important for bone health, and vitamin D only will help us to absorb the calcium inside the body, and with that calcium only our bones are stronger. And sunlight exposure, I told you the most easiest and free source of vitamin D. And vitamin A also is a good antioxidant, supports immune function. We find it in seeds, spinach, nuts, vitamin K, leafy vegetables, broccoli, B vitamin. In fact, some literature on cancer research will tell you that because one is deficient in vitamin B12 or vitamin B, you have a greater risk of cancer. And people also say that usually vegetarians are at a greater risk of vitamin B deficiency. But believe me, friends, right amount of eating balanced diet will always help you to have the right amount of vitamins which is required for the functioning of the body. And that is why it is important to have whole grains, legumes, leafy greens, non-vegetarians always have an option like meat. So if you are a vegetarian, you can focus more on leafy vegetables, legumes. If you are a non-vegetarian, you have uh, foods like fish, egg, and meat to supplement your vitamin B requirements. Calcium, these are minerals. Minerals are one of the important categories in our micronutrients. So calcium, iron, magnesium, potassium, and zinc. And you can see in the slide the different sources. So calcium, bone health, teeth health, iron, very, very important for oxygen support. Like oxygen transit, the body hemoglobin is the oxygen carrier in the body. And for you to have good amount of hemoglobin, iron intake is required. Right? So iron again, spinach is considered palakura. Spinach is considered to be the best source of iron. And then magnesium, which helps us nerve functioning, energy production. Potassium, fluid balance, muscle contractions, nerve signals. Zinc supports immune function, wound healing, DNA synthesis. And you can also see what are the different sources connected with your various minerals from where you can get those minerals inside your body. Fibers, very important. People who have constipation or have bad bowel health, fiber is the best way, and one of the best ways to have fiber is leafy vegetables and whole grains, including your wheat and legumes, fruits, especially there are some kinds of fruits that are very rich in fiber. Water, people say Jal hi Jeevan hai, no? You might have heard this one liner, Jal hi Jeevan hai. So water is life, and water is one of the most important sources for the functioning of your body. So apart from drinking water, there are certain amounts of fruits like watermelon, oranges, cucumber, right? Cucumber is like more content of water is there. Watermelon, more content of water is there. So overall, just to communicate that a diverse diet, which is having all these components, is very, very important. So, friends, now that time is almost close to 9, I wouldn't start fresh topic today. In tomorrow's session, let us try to understand that how the dietary requirements during pregnancy and for lactating women, they are separate. Okay, because uh, during pregnancy and when the childbirth takes place, to immediately, at least for next 2 to 4 months, for the woman's body to come to its original nutritional level, for that repair to take place, and also to facilitate the breastfeeding of the child, different kind of nutritional requirement is very, very important for good health of the mother as well as the child. So in tomorrow's session, we will try to understand that. And if you if the recording is being provided to you, even if it is there on the YouTube, if you have any questions, please reserve your questions for tomorrow. So thank you all so much for joining for today's session. And I thank the host of B.R. Ambedkar Open University for facilitating this online session.